Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or whatever time you elect to tune in. Hey, I appreciate you tuning into the Hat and Beard Show. Guys, today it's Wednesday, which means we gotta fill a little slop in for content. Guys, we got a little article pulled up here from a new source that I haven't ever read before. I just kind of was perusing a little bit. Now, we are going to be talking about the Lions and the injury front. Y'all, we know that the Detroit Lions are absolutely just decimated on the defensive side of the ball as far as injuries are concerned. We have the 2024 All IR team. It's just been a rough go of it. There's not much you can really say. Guys are stepping up. Guys are, doing the best that we can, and we are so lucky to have brought in Zadarius Smith. We're going to read this little article here. Before we get into it, guys, it's going to be a little quick rundown today. We don't want to be taking up too much of your break time today. Do me a rock solid. Go ahead and like the video if you enjoy the content that you are consuming right now. Subscribe to the channel if you want to be a part of the Hat and Beard gang. Ring that notification bell so that you never miss out on any content. And subscribe down below what you think. Outside of Aiden Hutchinson, what was the most detrimental injury to the Detroit Lions defense? I really appreciate you guys. Now, let's get into it, fellas.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
All right, guys, coming to us from heavy.com. I told you I found a new source here. This is going to be written by Annie Erickson. Headline: Detroit Lions get good news on injury front. You gotta love a big old bold headline that fifth grade reading level 36-year-olds like me can get through without any problem. You guys, look at Dan Campbell, leader of men. The Detroit Lions are enjoying quite a run as the team is 12-1 ahead of their matchup against the Buffalo Bills, a potential Super Bowl preview. The Lions have also secured a playoff spot, but even with all the positive news, there's a cloud hanging over the team in the form of injuries. This is something that is going to be a big factor when we get into a playoff push, and hopefully we got the guys in place. I am a big fan of Zadarius Smith. Loved the Zadarius Smith trade. Loved it. Liked what I seen out of Quan Alexander last week. Love what I've been seeing out of David Long Jr. I love the fact that the Lions have been able to go after and not just get like undrafted rookie free agents to just fill in a hole. We've been able to address with veteran players who have been in the situation before. They've been in the thick of it. They know what to do. I'm talking about Quan Alexander, David Long Jr., these guys, Jamal Adams, these guys who have been on teams that have made runs, who already know what to do, what to expect, and how to help push the younger players through these playoff pushes. And that is solely because the NFL allows veteran players on practice squads now. We're not just solely tapering it down to undrafted rookie free agents. Part of me thinks that's because of the evolution of the UFL allowing a different pathway for those guys into the NFL. And therefore, the NFL is allowing veterans to maintain a longer presence, maybe get a little bit more out of the tank, like a Quan Alexander, like a David Long Jr., these guys who kind of spiked and then petered off and still have some in the tank. Last year we did it with Bruce Irvin, right? It was a nice little boost, right? So the injury bug has been absolutely crippling us, but Brad Holmes has been able to find guys that have been able to plug and play in our system and excel. For lack of a better term, our guys are excelling. Thankfully, the Lions are getting some good news on the injury front, and it's just in time for the road for the playoffs. I think you guys know who we're talking about. Old Thor himself, Hat and Boob's favorite lion, Alex Anzalone. Big fan of Alex Anzalone, mostly from what he brings to the team in terms of leadership, veteran presence, and development of guys like Malcolm Rodriguez, Derek Barnes, and we'll talk about him a little bit more in the article. Our guy, Action Jack Campbell. Detroit Lions, fan favorite, offers injury update. Losing linebacker Alex Anzalone to a broken arm was a "oh no" moment for the Lions in Week 11. Yeah, that was rough, dude. That was rough. Alex was against the Jags. It looked like he made a tackle on Travis Etienne. And if you guys watched the game, he hopped right up He was holding his arm. He's like, it's broke. It's you could see him just saying it's broke, right? But the good news is that Anzalone is shaping up for a late season or playoff return, according to head coach Dan Campbell. On top of that, now Anzalone is updating fans about his recovery. During an appearance on the Ross Tucker football podcast on December 4th, Anzalone was asked about his recovery and how he's doing. Quote, they do a good job of not putting players in harm's way in Detroit, as opposed to many places around the league, or how traditionally the NFL is viewed. And that is something we have talked about many, 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 many times on this channel. We will continue to talk about it. Brad Holmes does not put his players in a position to fail. If you are not ready, the coaching staff and the front office have a mind meld. If you are not ready, physically, mentally, you are not playing. Why destroy a man's career? Protein shake burps. Whew. Why destroy a man's career when he just needs a couple extra weeks? Why scrap a life's worth of work? Years and years and years of finely tuning small steps, years and years and years of working out, years and years and years of film study, all this time and money invested into a player's future. Why throw him out there to the wolves? Why? Terrion Arnold is an exception to the rule. Terrion Arnold was able to come in and play exceedingly well. Contrast that to Jeff Okudah. One came in with expectations placed on him. One was forced into a spot where he wasn't ready to perform. One had his entire career destroyed because of bad front office moves and bad head coaching. Now, Terrion Arnold, we've seen struggles all season long. He is the most flagged player in the NFL for pass interference. But Terrion Arnold has been a lot better since the bye week, and Terrion Arnold has shown flashes of greatness. Expect next year Terrion Arnold to take a Jack Campbell-sized step forward. Back to the article, Anzalone says, I'm doing everything I can to accelerate the bone healing, whether it's hyperbaric or different things in the training room. They have 1,000,001 things you can do. They call it osteoblasts. I'm doing everything I can, whether it's 6 weeks or less. I'm getting an x-ray soon. Who knows what the x-ray is going to say? Osteoblasts, huh? Osteoblasts. Wonder what that is. Interesting. Osteoblasts. Now, look, I'm not a doctor or a medical professional, so if you knew what this is, good on you, dude. I turn wrenches. Osteoblasts are cells that create and strengthen bones and are responsible for the process of ossification. Okay? They're responsible for building new bone tissue, reshaping bones, and healing damaged bones. Osteoblasts create a protein matrix called bone matrix, which is made of collagen, calcium, phosphate, and other minerals. They then deposit the bone material in areas of the bone that need to be strengthened, repaired, or grown. Cool. The bone matrix hardens into a new bone. Excellent. Now, is this something... Osteoblasts work with osteoclasts, which reabsorb bone in continuous cycles throughout life. Osteoblasts are triggered by hormones and chemicals reactions to grow or change bones. Osteoblasts require a lot of energy, especially when forming or remodeling new bone. They also secrete factors that regulate insulin production. Interesting. Feeding behavior and adipose tissue metabolism.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Now, I guess the question are connected to adjacent cells by gap junction. Is this naturally occurring? I have no idea. That's kind of cool, though. Are required for bone synthesis and mineralization, both during the initial formation of the bone and during bone remodeling. So this is something that happens naturally when you're, growing. Are present in the bone surface and from closely packed layer from which processes extend. Interesting. That is really interesting stuff, man. Dude, we have come a very long way. If you think about it, 100 years ago, it was like, oh, I stubbed my toe. Guess I'll die now. Jack Daniels, not the whiskey, the man, Jack Daniels, okay? The guy who created Jack Daniels whiskey, Jack Daniels, was in his distillery one day. And he kept the recipe for Jack Daniels in a safe, a locked safe, okay? Now, it's going to sound really crazy to say, Mr. Jack Daniels was absolutely shit-faced hammered, all right? And he wanted to get the recipe out of the safe. But he was so drunk that he forgot the combination to his safe. So in a fit of rage, Jack Daniels kicked his safe, right? And broke his toe. And then got an infection from that and died. So, not even that long ago, a couple hundred years back, a simple toe break could lead to an infection that would kill you. And now Alex Anzalone has a broken arm and is getting osteoblast treatment to help harden and remodel the bone in a more expedited time frame. That is insane. Humans do some really, really, really cool stuff, man. Some really cool stuff. I'm doing it. So, back to the article. So I'm doing everything I can, whether it's 6 weeks or less. I'm getting an x-ray soon. Who knows what the x-ray is going to say. So 6 weeks, say it's a 6 week, give it a full 7 weeks. Week 11, he could be back in the building, technically maybe practicing by week 18. Hopefully we take the 1 seed, get a little bye, give him some extra time. Oops, sorry about the mic there, fellas. Hopefully get a little bit extra time to reacclimate and get him plugged in for a nice playoff push with fresh legs, dude. I hope Anzalone is able to come back and play well this season. Anzalone isn't able to participate in practice yet, but he says he's been around the building. Stay close as he rehabs. Quote, I'm not in the meetings as much. I drop in when I can because my rehab post-surgery is starting to get a little bit more extensive with his workouts and running. So he's working out, staying in shape, staying active. He said, usually we do that during meeting times, and then I'm out there for practices and walkthroughs. I try to stop in. So he's around the building trying to do anything. Now, this is what I love right here. This is the big thing that I've been beating the war drum on Alex Anzalone is motivating and helping to develop younger players. Anzalone also said he's been working with linebacker action Jack Campbell and tries to give him a boost on and off the field. Jack Campbell's been wearing the green dot this year. I talk to him after every game, and he's hard on himself, he said on the podcast. I just try to help him loosen up a little bit and not take football so serious. Even a guy like Quan Alexander, who we're going to rely a lot on. Talking to him, trying to relay the information, kind of like how we learned it in New Orleans. I just help out at walkthroughs with different guys. It's great to see Anzalone taking his rehab seriously and doing what he can to make sure he gets back to the team as soon as possible. Considering the Lions' rash of injuries, especially on defense, he is needed. And it's not just like, oh, good, we got a rotationary guy. Alex Anzalone is one of the heartbeats, one of the core pieces of our defense, one of the core pieces who is routinely overlooked. Everyone gives the flowers to JG16 for MVP. To Penne, give him the gold jacket, totally deserved. Amon-Ra, all the draft picks, the how great Brad Holmes has been at drafting talent. Alex Anzalone is kind of forgotten about. You know, he came with Motor City Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn from New Orleans because he was familiar with the system. He was their guy, right? Alex Anzalone wasn't necessarily a top-tier linebacker, not a hot name that you should go after in free agency. We brought him in, and he's flourished here in Detroit. NBA writer and expert Brad Berriman of Side Lion Report also gives props to Anzalone and how he's been handling the injury. Even though his injury was frustrating, Anzalone hasn't quit working, and he hasn't stopped building his teammates up, Berriman stated in December 10th piece. That investment has been important to Detroit's defense trying to play well in his absence. Now, okay, so that's the end of the article. Kind of ended weirdly. Let's just watch this little clip. You know, I told you Alex Anzalone broke his arm, hopped up. He's like, it's broke. Here you go. Watch this. This is from the Ross Tucker podcast.
Brian Branch, and you know him. He likes to hit and come downhill. So unfortunately, my forearm got the brunt of it.
Did you know right away?
Yeah.
At least he's like in good spirits about it. I mean, Alex Anzalone seems like a really cool dude.
I think on the TV copy, my linebacker coach Shep, he asked me like, he's like, go in the X-ray room, come back quick, and I'm like, nah, it's
It's
broke.
broke. It's broke. It's broke.
Mouthing.
Yeah. You watched him mouth it.
How now uh, you could visually see it, or
No,
you
I
could
could
feel
feel
it?
it. I could feel it. Yeah, so I did this for him in college, which is like 10 years ago, which is crazy to think
The
about.
same, you broke the same forearm?
Yeah, yeah. And
That's wild. It's absolutely
when you
wild.
get plates and screws in there, it kind of changes the anatomy of your forearm. So, luckily for me, it wasn't too crazy of a break. It was pretty clean, and the healing process started quickly.
All right.
So that's cool. He's taking it like a champ. Now, what I want to touch on real quick here, let's close some of these windows out, is I told you Jack Campbell, he's really been taking a step forward. Everyone that watches this channel knows how high I am on Action Jack Campbell. Let's come over here and look at what PFF, look at these grades, dude. Look at these PFF grades that Jack Campbell's been getting. Taking some steps, dude. Taking some steps. Overall grade at the Mike Backer in his sophomore year, Action Jack Campbell having to be Atlas on the defense, right? Just having to be Atlas with so many injuries. It's time for the young guns to step up, and Jack Campbell and Brian Branch and Terry Arnold, all the guys, you know the names. We're not going to go down it, but Jack Campbell, look, my expectation of Jack Campbell is as he develops over the next year, this year into next year, put some more weight on yourself, get better in film study on pass coverage, and you could be the next Brian Urlacher. Action Jack Campbell. Look at this overall grade. PFF has him as the number 14 Mike Backer in the league with a 79.3 grade. Pass rush, doesn't really blitz too often, doesn't have the moves per se. 58.3, not a great grade, well below the median, but run defense. Woo! Top 15. 86.7, well above the median. Absolutely crushing it. Our run defense is just as a whole is outstanding, and Action Jack Campbell has been great against the run since his rookie year. The dude is a run defender. If we could just get them pass coverage up a little bit, dude. But even in coverage, you're still above the median at a 69.1, the 23rd overall linebacker. That's 23 out of 171. It's very impressive. It's very, very impressive. 58 solo tackles, 2 sacks, 32 assists, and 1 forced fumble. That's very impressive, Jack Campbell. That's very, very impressive. So, what do you guys think? Are you excited about Alex Anzalone coming back? Do you feel encouraged hearing the words that he said, knowing the type of mentality of the players that we have? I am incredibly encouraged by Alex Anzalone's demeanor, his rehab. You know he's going to be back by the playoffs, and it's going to be absolutely perfect timing to solidify our defense for a good, deep Super Bowl run. So that's going to be it for me, guys. Hopefully we kept this tight. Nice and speedy for you on your lunch break or your work break or your poop break or whatever you're doing. So, hey, guys, I appreciate you hanging out. Try and have yourself a good rest of the day. We'll see you guys tomorrow with a little bit of a preview for the Lions-Bills Week 15 potential Super Bowl preview. Try and have a good rest of your day. That's going to be it for me. I've been Hat and Beard. You've been an attentive audience. Stay out of trouble. Bonga bonga. Frig off.